Hi friends, welcome back to Via Meditation channel. Today I've chosen a very interesting topic for discussion and we're going to discuss the seven centers in a man. This concept was proposed by Russian mystic George Gurdjieff, who has been a very strong influence in my life and in my journey. Normally a lot of people talk about seven chakras and I usually refrain from talking on chakras. And one simple reason is that while a lot can be said about chakras, but when you talk of chakras, it's very difficult for a common person to verify what I'm saying or what anyone is saying. If we're talking of eyes and ears and nose, it can be very easily verified. A lot can be said about chakras, from Muladhara to Shastra. We can say a lot about it. But then again, the listener needs to have a little belief before he can actually take it to be true. So it could be a fairy tale for a person who cannot verify it. So let's not go towards chakras. Let's try to instead visit the concept of seven centers as proposed by George Gurdjieff. If you hear these concepts, you will be able to verify a lot of it for yourself. At least the first five centers can be very well verified. So let's get into the topic. So Gurdjieff divides his seven centers into a set of actually three. So the first five centers are the moving center, sex center, instinctive center, emotional center, and thinking center. Out of these five centers, the first three, which is the moving center, sex center, and instinctive centers, are the lower centers, which are there in humans as well as in the animals. Whereas the next two centers are the higher centers, which is the emotional center and the thinking center. Actually, all these five things are very easily verifiable. So, moving center is the moving center, the how we move our bodies. Then there is sex center, which is also verifiable. And the third center is the instinctive center. Now, instinctive center is something which is, things which are happening on a human instinct, like a heartbeat, circulation of blood. The only external factor which comes in the instinctive center is the reflexes of a person or an animal. So these are the first three centers, which is simple to verify. Then the next two centers are the emotional center and the thinking center, which is also quite easy to verify. We all have thoughts and feelings. Feelings fall into the emotional center and thinking falls into the thinking center, the work of a mind. So these five things are quite easily verifiable. I'm holding the sixth and the seventh center for now. We will talk about it towards the end of the lecture. Now, what Gurdjieff says is that these centers, the seven centers of a man, have a purpose. And since we're just talking of the five, let's focus on these five. All these five centers have a definite job to do, and that's why there are these five centers. But the problem often with the person or a man is that these five centers are not doing their own job. Either they're doing job of another center, or one center is substituting for another, due to many reasons, chief reason being the fact that a man is a machine. Man is not aware, man is not mindful, and hence these centers are all jumbled up. They do work for each other, which I will tell you in this lecture. Now let's take some examples that Gurdjieff points out numerous examples. I'm only taking a few examples to make my point. The first example is a moving center's job is to basically move, drive a car, all that is moving center, typing. If you try to use thinking center and look for a K or a comma on a keypad, sometimes you can't find a K. But when you're typing, you can do it very clearly. Moving center knows its job. You can drive a car and even talk on the phone. I'm not suggesting to do that, but what I'm saying is you can keep driving and you can even use a phone call. It's a moving center's job. But when you're learning to drive, your moving center is not learned the art. You're still thinking, you're looking for the clutch, you're looking for the brake, and you will see it's difficult. So when a thinking center tries to do a job of a moving center, it becomes difficult. And vice versa. When you're reading a book, is job of a thinking center. But very often thinking center is thinking something else and you're reading with the moving center. Just the eyes and holding the book and you're reading it. You may read two pages and you realize, oh, you don't know what happened in the book. And then you go back and read the page again. You see, this is happening all the time. One center is doing the job of the other center. And primarily, what is the reason? Reason is laziness of that center. And why is that center lazy? Because you're not mindful, or we're not mindful. And there are many other examples. When an emotional center thinks on behalf of the thinking center, a job that actually belongs to a thinking center, an emotional center does it, what happens? There's a unnecessary delay, there's a anxiety, there is nervousness, and vice versa. It goes on. Gurdjieff points out some many very insightful examples. He says that daydreaming, a lot of people are daydreaming. There's excessive imagination, excessive thoughts going on in the head. He says it's because the thinking center is not rightly occupied. Thinking center is not strong, thinking center is not focused, you're not mindful, and hence this emotional center takes over. While thinking is actually done by the thinking center, but basically it is guided by the emotional center. Emotional center is more strong, and the thinking center has become weak, and that's why there is excess daydreaming, excess thoughts, and excess imagination which goes on all the time. Likewise, habits are also a result of poor functioning of the centers. So that's how it goes. And Gurdjieff's good part of Gurdjieff is he doesn't leave things hanging as a concept. He takes it further. So the point that he talks about in his concept of centers is that a man should do self-observation. He should keep a study of what he has done during the day. Where did he go wrong? Where did one center overlap the other center? Or where did one center take over the other center? So in his work, this is self-observation. Self-observation as a word has been very popular, made popular by many masters, including Krishnamurti, who also I admire and whose work also I've really benefited from. But in my own understanding, George Gurdjieff brings a very decisive and insightful meaning into self-observation. So if you observe during the day, or if you observe even during 1 hour, you will see a lot of these habits, your irritation, your absent-mindedness, your daydreaming is actually coming from wrong functioning of the centers. So these are the 5 centers that we talked about. Now we come to the last 2 centers, which is the magnetic center and the esoteric center. Now these are again the centers which will be difficult to verify. The first 5 centers so far are crystal clear. The last 2 centers are magnetic center, which could be a higher spiritual center, like how chakras, they say the third eye, it probably is a center like that. Not everybody has it, has developed it, because the first 5 centers are itself not working very well. So the 6th center may not be strong in most people, but in the people who have meditated, the 6th center, which is a magnetic center, could be strong. And if this person who has a magnetic center comes in presence of a person who's got the 7th center, which is the esoteric center, in quote unquote like an enlightened man, then you will see that there will be a lot of silent transmission which happens from the esoteric center to the magnetic center. Now again, this is on the realm of an area which is difficult to verify, but if you want to take my word for as truth, I think this is also true. I have been in touch with a few people who've been enlightened. I've been very lucky, and I think there is a silent transmission which happens. So that's it for today. I wanted to make this small talk on the 7 centers in a man, and these are very useful concepts. I would recommend you to read a little more on this. There's a lot of content available on internet. There's a beautiful book by P.D. Ouspensky, which is In Search of the Miraculous, where this concept is very well detailed. And there is a lot of other work of Gurdjieff in internet where you can verify this. Go deeper into it and become more mindful. As Gurdjieff says, man is a machine. And if your centers are working well, you will not be a machine anymore. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and spread the word.